Hello, gorgeous souls. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Jumping in with today's topic of boundaries. This is absolutely essential. If you are low on energy, you're exhausted, you find yourself overgiving or taking extra responsibility or over responsibility for everyone, for everything, and feeling absolutely run off your feet, setting healthy boundaries is the key to healing so much of that exhaustion. So running through the 4 different levels of boundaries, just so that you're clear on this. This was mind-blowing to me when I first understood it and made a lot of sense as well. So level 1 is no boundaries. This means we often feel like we're treated like a doormat. We will say yes to pretty much anything and end up feeling super angry and resentful. We don't feel respected, often because we're actually not respecting ourselves because we aren't putting those boundaries in place. So no boundaries makes for a really difficult life, makes for lots of overgiving and feeling totally used and often abused by others because we're overgiving from that particular place, often from a place of trying to get love, trying to get approval, trying to get appreciation, or trying to feel a sense of self-worth in the world. This is where self-love absolutely is the key to healing that. Number 2 is loose boundaries. Now, loose boundaries is when we get jack of having no boundaries and we start to set boundaries, but we often can feel really scared, and particularly, hey Roz, great to have you on here. And we often feel really, really scared that of either confrontation or of being rejected or of somebody feeling angry at us, or we can often be guilt-tripped or manipulated by others, particularly if they are used to us saying yes all the time. So loose boundaries happens when we try to assert the boundary, or perhaps we've asserted the boundary and said, no, that's not going to work for me, or no, that's not okay for me, or no, sorry, I can't help you this time. And that person becomes emotionally reactive with you. Remembering that the people that you need to set the boundaries with the most will be the most reactive when you actually try and place those boundaries in place. So really understanding loose boundaries is we waver on the boundary. And so people know that they can manipulate us. They know that they can guilt trip us into, whatever it is that they're wanting from us. And again, we're not going to feel great when we let ourselves down with that. We feel good when we first assert it. And it's about learning to regulate our nervous system. It's about learning that it is okay to let people down, to disappoint others, to not always be everything and everyone, or everything to everyone around us as well. Self-care, we can't pour from an empty bucket. I know that's so cliche, but it's also very true. The 3rd level of boundary is hard boundaries. Now, hard boundaries are, again, when we feel very emotionally reactive, when we're sick and tired of being the doormat, of feeling like we're used, abused, not appreciated by others. Often we will set a hard boundary in, and this is kind of like F off energy. So it's like, very emotionally explosive. It tends to be very emotionally reactive, and it isn't great for for relationships, or for establishing healthy relationships, or even for relationships that you would like long term. Sometimes hard boundaries are required in very unhealthy, toxic situations where the other person has showed us again and again and again that they are not willing to accept our boundaries and they continue to violate our boundaries. It is one of the most difficult things to do. However, I have helped several clients navigate this with family members when they've really needed to do that for their own sanity, for their own safety, for their own well-being, because that other person just was not honouring or respecting their own boundaries. Now, boundaries are our responsibility, meaning it's something we will do to take ourselves out of the situation, not what we require somebody else to do. So knowing the difference between a boundary and request is really important. A request is, hey, can you turn down the music? If they don't turn down the music, a boundary would be, I'll remove myself from the situation, I'll remove myself from the room, or I will need to, take myself out of the place, or go hop in the car, or there's obviously, there's certain things that we will need to put in place in order to honour and respect our boundaries. But our boundaries are our own personal responsibility. So the third one obviously is hard boundaries, and that is like a wall. And so a lot of people have built up the hard boundary where they're not willing to let people in because it hasn't been safe. It's not safe for their nervous system. And so this can be really detrimental, particularly in long-term relationships, or in relationships that we want, longevity and well-being in. Now, the fourth one is healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries create greater intimacy, understanding, and connection. They're about honoring our needs and also honoring and respecting the other person's needs. Sometimes we will still need to let people down because we're honoring our boundary. However, it is taking into consideration that other person's needs as well. So a healthy boundary sounds like, hey, I really love you. I really care about you. I'd love to spend time with you, or I'd love to help you out with that thing. And right now I'm very limited in my capacity, so I won't be able to do that today. Happy to help you with it next week or in 24 hours or maybe I can't help at all this time. So just knowing, obviously, that all depends on what is and isn't okay for you, but really expressing that healthy boundary in a way that's very connected, very understanding of it may disappoint, it may hurt the other person, all of those things. Again, taking care of the impact, the way that we deliver, all of those different things is really important. For me, I swung from completely passive to completely aggressive before finding a way in the middle of being able to really articulate healthy boundaries in a loving, kind, and compassionate way, simply because there was so much fear. I didn't think my boundary was going to be heard, and B, I was scared that the other person wasn't going to honor that or wasn't going to respect that. And so it took some time of navigating to really find a healthy way of expressing myself. And when I say it took some time, it was about 2 years of practicing, first of all, speaking up for myself, because I never used to speak up for myself. I just, let anything fly. And then started, that journey where then I would get angry, I would get reactive, I would get defensive in expressing that boundary, because I was so scared that I was going to be rejected, or I was going to, the other person was going to become defensive or reactive with me, which of course generally happened because of my reaction and the way that I was articulating as well. So all of these things are really important, but moving towards healthier boundaries is absolutely the key to having healthy, mutually beneficial relationships, and certainly preventing burnout, exhaustion, feeling drained, and certainly feeling used and abused by others, and allows you to let go of anger and resentment. And these days, I don't do anything that causes anger and resentment in my system. Anger and resentment, anger is my friend letting me know what my capacity is, what my boundary is. Sometimes it can be a cover for deep hurt as well. We need to be open-minded in the way that we're exploring the messages from anger and resentment, but often anger and resentment are showing us, hey, I'm a bit exhausted, or I'm feeling a bit pushed, or I don't feel I've got capacity for this particular thing. And so we can really honor our feelings instead of making ourselves wrong for feeling that way. It can be very helpful being able to notice that honestly, and then being able to express that in a kind, loving, and compassionate way to others, that we really need to take care of ourselves or our nervous system in the meantime. So sending you all lots of love. Please let me know if that was helpful. What else would you love to hear from me that can really support you in your own journey to thriving, to reclaiming your energy and your passion for life? Again, here to share lots of tips along the way of whatever's going to be supportive. Lots of love.